to another lap guide. My name's Bart, and today we're at the Okayama International Circuit on the full track in the FIF 4 car. Here's the hot lap. Okay, so heading down the main straight at Okayama now. Into turn one, quite a tricky medium speed corner here. Third gear is definitely the best gear in this car. You might want to take fourth, but definitely better to make that extra down change into third, especially on this fixed setup. It's quite understeery around here, so it's important that we use that extra gear change to help rotate the car and also helps pull a little bit on the exit as well. So I know I've talked about this a lot before if you've seen some of my videos, but you really don't want to be combining a lot in this car. So you don't want to have a huge amount of braking and steering or throttle and steering on at the same time. Otherwise, you can lose quite a bit of performance. The car's weak in this area. So for turn one, what that means is that when you're braking and you want to be efficient, so you really want to slow the car down as quickly as possible, you can't creep into the corner with the steering on. You've got to really, hit the brake really hard, maintain high pressure, and as soon as you start steering, you've got to come very quickly out of the brake. Obviously, that's in any car, you have to start decreasing your brake pressure when you start turning into the corner, but it's just a very big step in a car like this where it's weak in that combined phase of the corner. So now into turn one, you can see braking quite late here. It is a corner where it feels like you're pushing the entry a lot because this is a fake apex, effectively. What you see on the entry, we're meeting the inside a bit further around. And you got a few references here. You got the blue cone on the right for the pit lane exit, and you've also got the 100-meter board and these little white markers on the left. So you can see braking pretty much just after the or alongside. You can't really see it's on the side on my side screen here, but alongside the blue cone, the blue line for the end of the pit entry, and you've also got this little Marshall's tower and there's little white markers here as well. So you've got a few references to get an idea of where you're building up your braking here. So third gear, like I say, meeting the inside of the curve, you can see quite late round. I wouldn't say half, maybe 2/3 round, but the most important thing is that we're close to the white line when the curbing ends. That's really your reference to gauge, okay, am I going in too early? That's the biggest and the biggest crime you can probably do here, and the easiest thing you can do here. It's very easy on this corner to brake a bit early, turn a bit early, get on throttle a bit early, and then you're on throttle on the exit, and you think you kind of got to lift, and you just keep lifting and just understeers a lot on the exit in this car. So make sure we carry the speed through the corner. So like I said, efficient on the brakes, bleeding out, so we're just trailing a little bit of brake pressure. Then on throttle, once we had that kind of late apex there, force ourselves out, just to be nicely running this little bit of AstroTurf or the edge of the curbing on the left-hand side of the track. Try and get as far back as we can to the right-hand side. In the F4 car, you should be able to get back to the white line. If you're not able to, then you need to change the way you're exiting this corner here. Really important for this left-hander, which is one of the longer exits on the track. So we need to make sure we're prioritizing this second corner over the exit of the the first corner. So on another setup, maybe you don't need to brake, but on the fixed, I find just a little soft brake helps rotate the car. This is an easy corner to mess up, to push too hard and get a big slide, like a big kind of lazy slide. It's off camber, fast, downhill. So maintaining that fourth gear, just being really soft on the brakes and allowing the car to meet the apex curb. The apex curb is pretty nice, but if you just get too much of it too early, it kind of picks you up and you just end up understeering. It won't spit you out and cause you to crash, but it's not really ideal. It can hurt your exit. So yeah, he's turning pretty much off this little bit of extra tarmac we have here, meeting the white line. Trying to look a long way around the corner, soft on the brakes, make sure we roll a lot of momentum. That's probably the first main point in terms of how to achieve lap time on this corner. Pick up throttle. And the other thing as well is don't go into this corner. I know I talked about this a bit for turn one as well, but you can't just pin the throttle and steer as hard as you can. If you're doing, like I said, the car's weak when it's combining, and you don't want to do it in most cars, but especially in this one, and it being low powered, it'll just kill your exit speed. So yes, you can get on the throttle earlier than you see here with more lock on, but you just stall the car on the exit. So making sure you should be able to feel through the wheel, especially helps you if you're a direct drive wheel or a good a wheel with good force feedback. You can feel the car wanting to push a bit. So just keep that in mind and try and reduce the scrub on the wheel. Use all the track on the exit, then take the kind of straightest and shortest line down the hill here. All these little kinks don't really mean anything, just ignore them. Stay on the left-hand side of the track. Really important to maximize the track width here. I think some people are a little bit afraid of doing it. Once again, fifth gear on the entry, down to third gear. This long right-hander, tricky corner. That 50-meter board on the left is almost a perfect marker. So it's a great reference. Braking just before that. Go in fairly tight here. You don't want to miss the apex here. If you're wide, you'll never really get it back. So make sure we get in tight. Again, don't want to meet the start of the curb. We're meeting what looks like the apex of the corner, the tires pointing the corner in this case. So pretty obvious where we want to meet the inside of the track here. What I would say is not so obvious is it's quite for a corner that's got a long straight after it, and it kind of looks like a downhill hairpin. You do actually need to roll quite a bit of momentum, especially in this car, so it's important to be rolling the speed in third gear through here. So you can see third gear rolling quite a bit of speed. Pick up the throttle now, letting the car run out. It's not on the edge, it's not moving around, it's not sliding. Like I said, it doesn't really work in this car, and I'm actually saving a few meters here, having this tighter line. So again, a little bit of time here, just trying to shorten the distance on the exit, and then releasing the steering so we're not scrubbing the wheel. If you go push more here, you can, again, carry more speed, get on the throttle earlier, end up wider. There's not as much grip out there. You might be slightly faster in the straight, but you lose a lot of time through the middle of the corner, especially taking all those extra meters in what's quite a low-powered car. So, head down the straight. This will be potentially your best overtaking opportunity on the track. If this happens, you can brake super, super late in this car. So you can see here we're braking just before the 50-meter board. Really hard braking, maintaining almost max pressure. Down to second gear. You need to bleed out very quickly though when we kind of sink into this cambered groove. You see we go over this crest, come out of the brakes quick, super easy to lock the fronts here or just kind of slide them a little bit or overheat the front tires and then lose the purchase and the initial bite when you turn into the corner. So make sure you bleed out quickly after having really efficient braking at the start. So if you ever wonder, oh, why do I keep running deep here? I need to brake earlier. And you brake early and think, oh, I can't maintain the brake because it's just locking up. Just remember, it's with this crest. You can be really hard initially, but you've got to bleed out quickly. So meeting the inside curb, getting into the camber, we want to really use the camber here, right? So we're going to be going right down to the bottom of the corner, but I'd say it's important not to meet it too early. If you don't roll enough speed here, so if you haven't bled out the brakes fast enough, or you just hit the brakes too early, you'll meet the inside curb too early, and then you get on throttle too early, and then you end up really out of shape trying to position for the next left-hander. So it's important to meet it around here, this point later in the corner. So we don't go too wide here. See, we only go about halfway across the track on the exit, up into third gear, meeting the white line on the right-hand side. Really soft brake. Again, that'll just help rotate the car a little bit and just set it for the corner. Pick up the throttle as you meet the apex here. You can use the inside curve. It can kind of upset the car and pick it up a bit, but it's just good to get the distance as well on the inside. So that's perfectly fine also. Using all the track and exit here, you won't get off track. Just be careful. Super easy to over push that and end up wide. And this left hand is quite, I think, deceptively tricky. It's easy to over brake here. Feel like you're going to get understeer, over brake, kind of have a little moment maybe because what happens is you brake too hard, you over pitch the car, so the front of the nose of the car goes down, and you get a bit of oversteer as you turn in because all the weight's on the front. You have more front grip than you expect. Then you have a little slide, and also very easy then to kind of over slow the car in the entry when you brake a bit too much, and then get on throttle too early here and just crank on all this lock, and it just hurts you all the way on the next exit. Maybe you end up wide on the curb or in the gravel trap. So I think the important thing here is two things. One is how we use the track, so we're all the way out to the right hand side here, and we're looking quite far around the corner. So I'll be looking to about here at this point, really trying to meet the inside of the track quite far around. And the other thing that's really important here is to have a really soft brake. Like I said, if you can you're going to need to brake here, but the softer brake you can have, the better. So if you look in the bottom left, my input's super soft brake to turn the car in, really soft. That's all we needed, but it doesn't kill the momentum. It doesn't upset the car. It gives us a nice steady platform to just roll the speed into the corner, a little coast phase, and then we can have a nice clean throttle pickup on the apex. And using all that nice red and white curb. You can use the green, but usually it kind of upsets it a bit on the exit. Okay, so stay on the right-hand side of the track, kind of turning in a little bit before we brake. You can see we're not dead straight. We're pointing towards this marshal's hut in front of us. Braking down to third gear. It might feel a bit early, but you have to here because if you go wide, you just lose out. So important to keep it fairly tight distance-wise. Also preparing the car for the next corner as well. Down to third gear. You could go in second. I think third's a lot better because then you don't have problems with traction. It's also very easy to lose the rear here if you go down another gear. So this is one of those corners where what I talked about turn one, that combined or thinking about how the car doesn't stop very well in combined braking is really important to keep in mind. So we're going to be really, really efficient initially. You can see almost max pressure at the start, down to third gear. And then as I load the car into the corner, I very quickly bleed out. So you have to be really precise with that in this corner. And it can be worth a lot of lap time if you get it right. Okay, meet the white line on the inside about halfway round the inside curbing. Coasting at this point. Then yes, a nice throttle pickup. In third, you can be quite aggressive. That's the other reason I don't really like second is the it becomes quite tricky to pick up the throttle with the traction you have with the open diff in this car. But in third, it's a lot easier to drive, more consistent. And then we're going to try and widen the track up as much as possible for the next corner. But tricky here to really get much distance. You see, maybe I'm a car width away from the right-hand side, and now I'm able to get maybe half a car width to the left before I turn right. But it's a really tricky little section. It's going to be one of those corners that, depending on how you've taken the last left-hander, it's going to be a different entry overlap. So you're just going to have to keep adjusting and working with it. The main thing is that we're just reducing the distance and carrying good momentum through this section. So into the right now, braking once again, similar thinking to the last corner, where can I just get the car a little bit straighter when I hit the brakes? You can actually see I turn to the left a bit, I turn to the right, and then as I hit the brakes, I actually straighten up the steering ever so slightly just to be a little bit straighter, so I can just try and stop the car a little bit more before I turn into the corner and release the lock. Down to second gear. Now I'm going to start bleeding out the brake pedal. You see now I'm coasting, just roll the speed through here. Again, it's not a very long, heavy brake, just a little dab. Try and get as straight as possible off the brake, roll. But you really just want a steady platform through here. Really easy to lock up or upset the car. So, just trying to be smooth. Meeting quite late here, the inside of the track. So still on the white line, and we're almost at the end of the inside curb. So that's really important here. Trying to get to throttle. You can see I struggle on this lap to get to full throttle. Maybe I was a fraction early, but just able to force the car out wide, meet the edge of the track. Importantly, I didn't lift out of the throttle. I held almost full throttle the whole time, so we still didn't kill the exit speed. But yeah, up to full throttle now. Just here, you can take the inside curb. Don't take more than this; you'll bottom out and upset the car. And you're also in the pit lane, basically. But yeah, just reduce distance here. Take the inside curb like this, over to the left-hand side of the track. Be dead straight. Don't get sucked into turning a bit early. Easy to do. Kind of a medium brake, I want to say. Medium pressure brake. Not very long. Down to third gear. You want your minimum speed, so the slowest point in the corner, to come quite late on this right. So don't brake too early. Don't, again, a bit like very similar to turn 1. Don't want to meet the inside here. It's a bit late around, so keep that in mind. But definitely down to third gear. I know it sounds like it's a bit high in the revs, but I tested a lot. Third gear is definitely better. And this exit curb, so you can use all of it. You can even, I've had it before, you can dip a wheel in the gravel and not going off track, and it can be fast. With this car, if you don't get your left wheels onto this red and white before, it's hard to say exactly where, but it's about this point here where we've got this rubber marks and further down. If you go over the curbing, so you can see here where the floor is, more importantly, the middle of the car tub. If this crosses later, you lose quite a bit of momentum. It's actually fairly significant. It's like half a tenth up to a tenth. So I'm keeping that in mind. That's why here I don't actually use all the track, because I'm trying to get back over in time before the car bottoms out, which I do here on this lap. You can still hear it a bit, but on this case it didn't hurt my momentum. But yeah, keep that in mind here. So carry as much speed as you can. Really quick throttle pick up in third. We don't want any understeer here, so very fast to full throttle. Use all the track as much as we can. Quickly get back over to the tarmac. Keep the wheel straight, and that's the lap at Okayama. So that takes us to the end of the video. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below. And you can also check out the Coach Dave Academy Discord. The link is in the video description. I've been Bart, and I'll see you next week.